All right. Let's forget how to do this. There we go. No. In just a minute. I'll be able to cut this part out once we get to the presentation. This here, stop share. Give me just a minute here. Okay, and share screen. Here, share. Okay, I think we're where we need to be. Apologize for that. So today I want to talk to you guys about navigating, or I want to go back and forth with you guys about navigating back and forth during the holiday season, trying to uphold a plant-based diet to the degree that makes the most sense for you. Okay, so we have T-minus 48 days between now and January the 1st. Man, did 2023 go fast?
Yeah.
So there's just this is probably the more difficult time of the year to adhere to a lifestyle change, especially as it relates to food. And the 5 or 6 questions I have in this presentation to go back and forth with you guys on really kind of addresses some of those challenges. So looking for answers, solutions, support, questions. We definitely don't have to fix all the problems, but just kind of going back and forth, because the purpose of this call is really all about support. So it looks like Santa got the memo of being a little bit overweight there. So he's having some type of a green. This is a artificial intelligence generated image, right? So there's actually not a person there, but it's generated by a computer. It's a pretty picture. Actually, all the pictures, with the exception of the goofy picture you're getting ready to see of me, were generated by artificial intelligence. And he, I guess, has had a challenge with weight. And now, as you can see in front of him, there's some type of a green vegetable-like substance that he's eating, including, it looks like, some tomatoes as well. So in America, only 10% of the calories that we consume on average come from plants and vegetables, right? Whole plant foods. That's on average, right? So there's significant opportunity when you think about plant foods to increase that number to pursue better health. And that could be also in the capacity to lose weight as well. So today's focus is about support and what we can do to support each other in that capacity. With regards to that, the next slide is, that's me. Like I said, that one is not, unfortunately, not artificially generated. My name is Mike Thomas. I am a board certified health and wellness coach. I am also a pharmacist, and I'm board certified in lifestyle medicine. My contact information is on the screen, as well as I will have some contact information in the description if anybody would like to get in touch with me. But basically, I help people to lose weight by incorporating more plants into their diet. We do a lot of things to help them pursue better health, and usually that's with more movement, more plants, better sleep, etc. What I do in my role as a health coach, I have 2 main goals. One of those is really being accomplished with this video, and that is to get the information out, right? There's a ton of information out there now that's data driven, that shows that you can really make some significant changes to your health for the better if you pursue more plants, if you get some more movement, get some better sleep, mitigate some stress in your life, etc. So one of those things I want to do is get the information out. And the second thing I want to do is I want to help people and support them with coaching, whether that's one-on-one coaching or group coaching. I've got some group coaching that's coming up in 2024 that I'm very excited about. So that's a little bit about me. And like I said, the actual details about me are going to be in the description of the video if you're interested in learning more about me, my website, etc. So why are we pursuing more plants? What's the big picture? So isn't that a beautiful woman that was artificially generated? I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that one. She's eating a beautiful salad. Why whole food plant-based eating? And for probably most of us on the call, there's a lot of other reasons, but most of us on the call, the big picture is health, right? That's definitely what got me into this. In fact, the number one killer in America is cardiovascular disease. And in fact, it's the number one killer in the world now, right?
Wow.
And it doesn't have to be that way, right? People can change cardiovascular illness, cardiovascular disease. You can actually, it's been proven now that you can reverse cardiovascular disease. Dean Ornish, with his lifestyle medicine intensive program, have in fact been able to prove that you could reverse cardiovascular disease. And with his program, with the Ornish program, he's been able to do that. That is actually now paid for by Medicare, which is about $20,000 per person.
Wow.
But unfortunately, you have to qualify for it. And to qualify for it, there's two main things you have to have, either a heart attack or open heart surgery.
Oh,
So what I like to offer is, what can we do to help people and to spend a lot less than $20,000 where they don't have to have a heart attack and they don't have to have open heart surgery. And that's why I want to coach and support people. The bottom line, though, really is it's the food, it's the food, it's the food. And there's been some significant changes in the food in the last probably 50 to 100 years. Another reason we want to choose plants is because, of course, diabetes and the complications of diabetes, which is basically retinopathy, where people are going blind, people are having amputations. There's 3,000 amputations in America every year because of diabetes complications, and also kidney disease as well. So in 1990, so T minus a little over 30 years ago, about 5% of the US population had type 2 diabetes. And to today, that number it's nearly doubled. It's over doubled to almost 11% of the population. Today, nearly 35% of Americans, 88 million people, have prediabetes, which is just a shade under diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And most of those people do not know that they have prediabetes because they aren't showing symptoms and they haven't been tested for it, unfortunately. Sugar consumption in 1700, when we didn't have any processed foods and we were literally eating off the land, the average person had 4 pounds of sugar that they ate a year, right? So in 1800, that went up to 22 pounds. In 1900, it went to 90 pounds a year. And now with all the processed foods we have going on, we have 180 pounds
wow.
of sugar per year that we consume on average per person. So with regards to diabetes, it is the food, and it's actually not just the sugar itself. And that leads me to obesity. So a few things with obesity. I am targeting the niche to help people to lose weight. Obviously, I help them with reversing diabetes. I help them to decrease blood pressure medications, etc. But obesity really stands out as such a huge opportunity and the problems that go with obesity, which many of us on the call know about. The rates have gone up in adults in the last 50 years by 2.5 times, so 250%. And they've literally quadrupled for children and adolescents obesity rates. And again, it's the food, it's the oil-laden processed foods. The average American, again, 10% comes from plants and vegetables. 30 to 35% comes from animal products, and about 60%, unfortunately, comes from processed food. So some significant opportunity with regards to what's going on with the food. So I guess plant-based eating, just like I said, with this beautiful lady eating a salad, is all about eating salad, right? Wrong, absolutely not. So these pictures are not real, but they're beautiful. But they're images of things that you can actually get. Most of this you can actually find at my website at coachmikethomas.com with the recipes, the method, the ingredients, etc. But there's a combination. This is a little different than salad, right? This is basically some bean chili with some brown rice. And we've got some oatmeal with some beautiful fruit here. We've got some pasta with marinara and mushroom. I actually made these slides right before dinner tonight, so I was pretty hungry when dinner rolled around. Beans, hummus, whole wheat bread, avocado, etc. And then the last one, that's supposed to be a chickpea sandwich. It's actually a bean sandwich. I had chickpea tonight for dinner as a sandwich, but it's supposed to be a chickpea sandwich with that recipe is at coachmikethomas.com as well, along with the bean soup. So this, as most of the people on the call and probably a lot of people watching, is so much more than just eating salads. When I first started this journey myself in January the 1st, 2017, and going plant-based, honestly, I didn't know any differently. And that's what I started eating all the time for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. and I had some serious problems with hunger, with cramping, etc. The two most common problems that people have when they start going plant-based is they don't eat the right kinds of foods because they eat a lot of non-starchy salads thinking that's all that there is, and they don't eat enough food, right? So it's important to stay full with this healthy foods that we eat. So having said that, the first question I have for the folks on the call is just to share maybe what is one wellness goal that you have for the holiday season. So this is actually another picture of Santa here, who also is trying to lose weight. So thinking about the next 48 days, because between now and January the 1st is 48 days, what is maybe big picture, or it could be something specific? What comes to mind for you as a wellness goal that you'd like to share with the group that you have for the holiday season? What do you think?
I would like to get through the holidays, ideally, without gaining another 15 pounds. I mean, I would like to ideally stay where I am. I know that's probably not completely realistic, but
Okay.
Doing that through plants and movement.
Okay. So not to gain any weight is a good goal for you, because in the past you feel
Absolutely.
like you've gained a little bit of weight during the holiday season.
Not feel like it's absolutely positively true. And when I look at my through the years, always between October, Halloween, and actually uh, Valentine's Day, it's always a huge gain. So that's
Okay.
got to stop, or
Okay.
hopefully that's going to stop.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's a great goal for you. So focusing on between really roughly about now, Halloween, all the way through Valentine's Day, just to stay the same, which would be a win for you because in the past you've gained weight. So great. Okay. Thanks
Yes.
for sharing that. That's awesome. Who else has a wellness goal that they'd like to share with the group?
I would like to continue having at least 2 plant-based days a week.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say not eat very many cookies, but that's all relative. It's like, what does that mean? Maybe not make any cookies,
Okay.
not bake any.
Okay. So for you, having a couple of days where you're really adherent to plant-based eating, and you're just starting on your journey, Karen, too, in all fairness, not that there's right or wrong, but having a goal like that at this stage for you is pretty strong. So really starting to get into the routine of just fueling your body with more plants, more fiber, more phytonutrients and nutrient-dense foods, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. And so tell me about the cookies. So is cookies something you've done in the past, or you make those, or?
Yeah, yeah. And if there's cookies, I eat them. So
Okay.
I normally have to double batch it so I get even any of them to family. So, and I don't have children. My children are all grown, so I don't need to make cookies.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Yeah, Chef AJ says if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. I don't know if we've talked about that, Karen, or not, but in your environment, it's so important to support yourself within the four walls, because a lot of times when you go out of your house, all bets are off and it's a lot more difficult. But setting yourself up for success by saying, you know what, I'm just not going to make them this year, will help you and support you in that capacity as well. Good. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else come to mind?
I would actually like to lose weight.
Okay.
I been really cooking a lot of soups and potatoes
Okay.
and keeping them in the fridge. And I think that's, for one thing, is keeping healthy foods around so that they're accessible
Yeah.
rather than, the junk foods. And I had been going to bake sales and things like that all fall. They've got all that stuff. And to really limit myself. And right now, I'd like to not buy ice cream or vegan ice cream, of course, but not buy ice cream and things like that. Try to stay away from buying some of that stuff Because like you said, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth, Chef
Yeah.
AJ, isn't
Yeah.
that the truth? And I don't make cookies anymore because I figure it this way. And I don't, uh, the only cookies I buy is from bake sales, but I don't make them anymore because then I'll eat the whole batch myself because I don't have any kids at all or grandkids or anything. So,
Okay.
it would all be up to me to eat them, and my husband and he and I both are trying to really be healthier.
Wonderful. That's good. So controlling your environment, cooking more of the healthy foods like the soup and potatoes. And I love how you said, I just need to make sure that I have the healthy foods available for when I'm hungry, right?
Yeah, and I like that video you sent me from Chef AJ, as a matter of fact. I've listened to that twice now. It's very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, about her story and such.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very inspiring, definitely. Very cool, very cool.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else want to share a wellness goal that you've got for holiday season?
Well, personally, everybody said everything that I would would want to do.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
I know you and I talked about this the other day, having that food accessible for me,
Mhm.
so I don't go grab something wrong or
Yeah.
whatever. That's a key thing right there. And candy.
There you go. Absolutely. Very
I'm
cool.
trying to do your 7-day thing for now, your 7-day menu plan or whatever. I'm trying to kind of fit that in between now and Thanksgiving. And
Okay. Well, good for you. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. So the next question is what challenge, and this actually may relate to some of the other slides that come up. What challenge do you anticipate for the holiday season? And potentially, what's maybe one way to help you overcome that challenge, right? So this is a free for all as it relates to your health, your wellness, physicality, plant-based eating. What comes to mind for you guys as a challenge that you're anticipating probably having as far as the holiday season? What do you think?
Me, it's travel.
Stress?
Travel.
Travel. Tell me about that.
Well, I probably going to do an impromptu trip next week for Thanksgiving, and then also at the end of the year, Christmas.
Yeah.
And already in my head, oh boy, that definitely be some challenges.
Yeah.
So with challenges, I of course am going to be 100% base, so it's then moderation,
There you go.
So so yeah, that's definitely a big challenge for me.
And when you say moderation, why don't you give us an example of what you mean by that, just to paint that picture clear, because it's going to be hard to be 100%, no doubt, especially when you're traveling.
Right. Well, I don't have to eat the whole burger. I don't
Okay.
have to eat the whole plate of whatever.
Yeah.
Pick what probably be close to the healthiest on menus or
There you go.
things like that. So yeah, and always water.
Okay,
So,
good. Yeah,
and the
lots of
other,
ways to be in moderation.
yeah.
That's
So,
good. Wonderful. What about anybody else's challenge that you're anticipating for the holiday season and possibly how to overcome that?
well, my challenge will absolutely be making Christmas cookies because it's been a standard for my
Okay.
entire life. It still is. I get
Yeah.
together with one of my good friends, a couple of my good friends. Now we make them. We make big plates. And so what I did last year and what I'm hoping to do again is go ahead and make the plates, leave them at my friend's house in the freezer until I'm ready to give them to people, then take them to people. And I will allow like a plate at our house for a couple days and then they're gone.
Yeah.
I'll send them home with my son, and what's left that's it. So I know that's going to be an issue, and it's just a matter of how many dozen.
Right.
and not allowing myself a full dozen every time I eat, you know.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So staging it out instead of just having a truckload of cookies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Good for you. Okay. And it means, and I'm not being sarcastic, but it's really important to you as that tradition with the cookies because there's so much joy with that, right?
Absolutely.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, it's good that you're sticking with the joy and you're working on a way to try to moderate, not having all this excess stuff and the possibilities as well. So good for you. Cool. Okay. Any other challenges we feel out there as far as the holiday season and such?
I'll be in Colorado and I don't know many people there. If I'm making myself in my mind, should I be invited to anything? I'm going to make myself go. But one thing that I do when I'm uncomfortable is I will eat.
Okay.
And so and we talked about this yesterday. So I'll have to address that before I go. And maybe but you know what? I can eat a full meal and then still go somewhere, be uncomfortable and eat, So I'm going to have to work on this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you for
So I don't
sharing.
have an answer.
It's the social connection piece is so incredibly important for all of us. One of the reasons we had this call, just so we can support each other, just with that social support. So it's really wonderful though, Karen, that you have that sense of awareness, knowing you really well. And hey, when I'm in these situations and I'm feeling anxious or nervous, I'm going to want to eat. Even when you're full, you still want to eat. It's just a natural response for you. But you're having that awareness about yourself is the first way to help yourself to overcome that challenge. So it's not going to necessarily be perfect, but good for you for knowing how important that is to make sure you're going. Like you said, if I'm going to be invited or I'm going to be intentional about that, I'm going to go, but also having that awareness to support yourself. So that's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Susan, did you have any challenges you want to share or you anticipate coming up for the holiday season?
Well, let's see. There's a potluck coming up. I'd like to go to it. It's with an organization I belong to. And I don't know. I'm just going to have to try to pick out the healthiest dishes, I suppose, and the ones that most meet my needs.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Or I may just skip it. Last year, my husband and I just skipped it because of they don't eat until 7 o'clock at night.
Pretty late.
And that's kind of late to eat. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It just depends on when the time comes and how we feel, my husband and I.
Sure.
So that was
Is it
the
a
only
neighborhood
real
potluck, or
challenge.
is it a neighborhood potluck?
No, it's with the 12-step recovery program, potluck.
Very cool. So good community and such. So
Yeah, good community, and
Okay.
it'd be seeing some old friends I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Plus, it may be the last one. This older couple's having it, and it may be the last one they're ever going to have because he's in poor health, and I don't know what's going to happen to her after that, and what she'll do, and
Gotcha.
that sort of thing. So,
Susan, if
maybe.
it's a potluck, you're going to take something, right?
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, you can totally be in control of what you take, right?
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
That's a good
I
Yeah.
mean,
But
so
I don't know.
dazzle them with your plant-based deliciousness. You've got a lot of good plant-based delicious recipes. So
Yeah.
dazzle them.
Yeah. Right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So let's look at what else I have here. So I don't know if this is going to be, we talked a little bit about this, but this question is similar to some things you guys have addressed, but maybe maybe a couple of people, one or two people on the call can address this. How do you navigate temptations and cravings for non-plant-based foods? And we'll just call a sugar cookie a non-plant-based food, even though it's probably plant-based because it's sugar cookie. But tell me, what's maybe one thing that you could offer to yourself or to the group that comes to mind when you're in that situation how to support yourself. Not that you have to be perfect, but you're better. Let's just say instead of being a 1 out of 10, you're a 5 out of 10, you know? So what comes to mind as far as navigating the temptations and the cravings?
Well, if it's the cookies, I will put maybe 3 or maximum of 3 ideally on my plate and then get them out of my sight.
Okay.
If it's at a restaurant, it would be, you know, keeping the bread and all the added stuff away from me.
Yeah.
And not necessarily denying myself on anything, but just giving myself a little bit and then
Okay.
giving it away, pushing it away, you know, whether it be like a salsa or a dip or whatever, have one and then just push it away to everybody else. It's still dangerous waters, because if I'm really good, I would push it completely away and not touch it, not have anything to do with it. But that's probably not realistic. So
Yeah, I love that. So the first thing you said was just having boundaries and knowing, hey, my hard fast stop is 3 cookies or no bread at the table. So having the clarity of that boundary. And then I'm hearing, you know, just giving yourself some grace to say, I don't have to be perfect in this process. In fact, if you try to be perfect, that's probably going to be a lot much more difficult, and all bets are off potentially when things go south, or if they go south. So just taking the initiative, knowing what your boundaries are, being clear about those boundaries and sticking to those, and giving yourself some grace in the process as well. That's
being
good.
mindful. Yeah, being mindful and giving
Yeah.
myself some grace, but definitely being mindful.
That's great. That's fantastic. Anything else come to mind for anybody with temptations or cravings they want to share with regards to non-plant-based foods?
Just tell yourself you're not going to do it.
Okay. Having that mantra.
Just that mind. It's that mind thing.
Okay.
Control.
There you go. Very good. Clarity of the mind. Okay. Sounds good.
The other thing you can do is make plant-based, or at least animal-free ingredients, or some healthy versions of you know, foods that are tempting, like those banana and oat and
Okay. Yeah.
raisin cookies,
That's what I thought
you
about
know,
when you were
something
saying
like that. Or
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
got a good recipe for chocolate chip cookies by Minimalist Baker, and I could bake them, but like I said, I'll just eat the non-plant based, and then I have a limit, because there's only so much I can carry out of a bake sale at one time.
Okay.
So, you know, that's the thing.
Cool.
But I can make other things besides plant-based. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you know.
I love how you said the bananas and the oatmeal with raisins and stuff, because that's the first thing I thought about when you said, you know, you can kind of make the version of it being more healthy. Another example would be something like the nice cream, right? The frozen bananas
Yeah.
that you put in a blender with a little bit of plant-based milk, and it tastes literally like soft serve vanilla ice cream, which is really good as well. So that could potentially take some of the edge off of the cravings and still get some health in the way, because it's just plant-based foods. It's healthy plant-based foods. So very cool. Excellent. All right. So here's a big one that I think we probably all, to a certain degree, face. How do you manage the stress during the holiday season, and does stress impact your eating habits? So we're going to be running out of time a little bit. So maybe we can just have a couple of people share just what they feel that they do that helps to support themselves in the capacity of minimizing stress. And does anybody want to share just stress and how eating potentially affects eating or eating habits?
Possibly go for walks more, just do some more mindfulness, like being present with nature or whatever.
Okay.
Just trying to get into that calm thinking
Yeah.
when I start feeling that, you know, super stress or whatever. But definitely stress affects eating sometimes. And that's, again, with being mindful. And if I know that stress is going to affect eating, then definitely make sure that there's good choices around.
Wonderful. So making sure your environment supports yourself, but also getting some movement, being out in nature could help you with the stress as well. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Anybody else with regards to stress and how it potentially impacts eating habits?
Celery's a good stress reliever
How so?
because it's a good crunch, and like when you're and you just want to,
Okay.
it just seems to be a good stress reliever. Carrots too, for that matter. Just
Okay.
that you crunch, and rather than potato chips or
Okay.
what. Yeah.
So you still get that texture and that crunch, and there's a lot less calories in celery than there is in potato chips. At least that's what I've heard. So, cool. All right. All right. And the last question is, let's have everybody share one tip for effective plant-based meal planning during the busy holiday season, right? So just thinking about meal planning, what's just one tip? And it could be something that's obvious, or it could be something that came to you in the last few weeks or months. But let's have everybody, including myself. I'm gonna share. I'll be the last one to share. I have no idea what I'm gonna say, but let's all share maybe one thing that comes to mind for effective plant-based meal planning during the holiday season. What comes to mind?
Well, since I'm new at this, I'm going to cheat and say batch cooking,
Okay, I love it.
but that's
Very
only
cool.
because you said that.
Batch cooking is awesome. So batch cooking is, tell us what batch cooking is.
Just where you make enough to carry you through separate meals.
There you go. Absolutely. So you could literally make 2 or 3 times as much as it takes for one meal. And so how that helps you with meal planning is you plan one meal and you have 3, right? So love it. Fantastic. Okay. Thank you for sharing. What's another tip that comes to mind for somebody with plant-based meal planning?
Well, for me, I'm sauteing now with vegetable broth,
Okay.
or sometimes other things like water, but usually it's just vegetable broth, and that's great. I mean, I use that to make my stuffing. I don't put any butter in it. I put the seasonings and all the things, but absolutely no oil. And it's not that hard if you just think about like vegetable broth or whatever. So that's probably a big thing. And then also just thinking of all the side dishes that are so wonderful that are typically the side dishes are the most of the meal with if people have turkey. I mean, if you don't have turkey, then it's all side dishes basically. But so just thinking of different, the different colors of the rainbow. How can I present my table so that it looks pretty and that it's got all these plant-based options. And so it's really I think it's kind of an exciting time to take all of our old traditional recipes and just think about how we can tweak them to make them still taste great, but not have the added butter and the white flour and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Fantastic. Okay. I think that was 2 or 3 awesome ideas. Great. Thank you so much. All right. Who else has got an idea for one tip for effective plant-based meal planning during the busy holiday season?
I think it would probably be pretty much kind of like it is even before, prior and after holiday season is, especially with Joe and I, my husband and I, planning a couple of meals a week.
Okay.
At that the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Do it. And then sometimes with these recipes, we might use it again, but use something differently about it. Like maybe with it the next day, or add a baked potato to the chili and that we didn't think about, so plenty of it, and then tweak it as you go, kind of a thing. So I think if anything, we tend to get out of our habits during the holiday season, and I think we just need to keep with it to feel that we are being somewhat productive, movement as far as movement and eating the best of our.
That's great. I heard a lot about planning. I heard a lot about communication, right? Just making sure you guys are on the same page and just being intentional, knowing that it's really easy to get stressed out or distracted during the holiday season. And sometimes the stress is positive stress, but either way, it's easy. It's a distraction. So being focused, being intentional, and just having really great communication. So when you do sit down to say, okay, here's the 2 meals, here's the 2 recipes we're going to make, which turns out to be 4 meals per se. Love that, just the communication process as well. Very cool. All right, thank you for sharing that. Susan, what do you got?
Well, I was thinking about, besides batch cooking, have an abundance of food around, especially healthy foods like apples and
Okay,
bananas.
yeah,
And I found a fresh pineapple at Walmart, and I thought, well, I can cut it up and have that in the fridge, and that's a treat. Kind of make fresh fruit and such things a treat.
yeah,
And let's see, have an abundance of food available, and just keep the fridge stocked and everything stocked, though that there's just so much food that's good, and make it appealing, some
okay,
appealing food, make your favorite foods. And
okay,
so that you go to the fridge instead of going, oh, I gotta eat this stuff, this plant-based stuff. Make sure it's a good, healthy, delicious, appealing recipe, attractive recipe.
love it. That's fantastic. So great ideas there as well. I want to just share. I have a couple of things, and one of those, I think all of us probably said this to a certain extent. I just want to share it, and that is having healthy food readily available when you're hungry. So potentially having your staples RTG, which is basically ready to go. So your brown rice is already cooked. Your black beans are already cooked. They're in the refrigerator. We got potatoes always on hand, right? We have those staples pretty much readily available. So that would be one thing that I would say that I know, a lot of on the call, I always have oatmeal every morning, or I usually have it around noon or 12:30. So I never run out of oatmeal, right? So that's just going to be a staple that I'm going to have. And I usually have it with blueberries, strawberries, raisins, and bananas. So I never run out of that stuff. And when I go to the grocery store or I order groceries, usually for delivery, I have plenty in stock in that capacity. The other thing that I want to share with you that wasn't mentioned, and Susan kind of mentioned this about the refrigerator, and that is the freezer, right? So as you're batch cooking, like Karen brought up, I mean, it's nothing for us to make a meal, 3 meals for Grace Ann and I, but we have it for 2 meals. And then the third meal, I freeze it and I can have it 2 or 3 weeks later. So that just helps so much when I'm looking for that extra meal. I just know I don't have to worry about it that week because I've already got my meals I'm going to be planned out. That third meal is going to be something we had 3 weeks ago, the chicken noodle soup, which of course is soy curls and not chicken. So that's something I really stepped up my game. It does take a little bit more freezer space, but it's so well worth it to just pull that out of the freezer and pretty much have it ready to go. And you can just warm it up in 3 minutes when 5 p.m. rolls around, when it's time for dinner, etc. So very cool, very cool. All right. So guys, thank you so much. That's the end of the call. I want to thank you guys for participating, for being vulnerable, being honest. The general themes I have in here is because I could really relate to everything people said was we're pretty much all in this together to support each other. So I really appreciate the support on the call. And the last thing is some really great ideas, right? Real great ideas. And hopefully there's some people on the internet that are going to watch this afterwards that are going to get some of those ideas, and it's going to help them and support them in their capacity to pursue their own health and wellness goals in general. But of course, this one was with Santa in mind in the holiday season as well. But again,
we need to give Santa some carrots and celery this year rather than cookies. You think?
Yeah, those are the pictures. I don't know what he was eating, but it was green. But yeah, those are the pictures I had in the beginning, trying to get Santa to eat some more plants and stuff. So all right, we're going to call it quits for now, but I really appreciate everybody participating on the call, and we will talk soon. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thanks,
much.
Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike, very
Have a
much.
good Thanksgiving.
You too. Take care now. Bye-bye.